Welcome to the show that brings the living experiences of black men in the UK in a dialogue of equals with health professionals from the NHS and community advocates to reduce health inequalities affecting our communities.
Me and my unks had a dialogue of equals. We're tired of all our people dying before they seem to. Silence don't make you peaceful. So many open wounds, don't even know how we'll heal all. But this is food for thought of a meal. It might be a free course.
Well, alternative lifestyle is about being healthier, it's about going to the gym, and it's about what we eat. It's about what we take into our body. So I've got two amazing guests here today with really special stories to share with us. Asha, who is a
herbalist,
nutritionist
yeah.
and naturalist,
Yeah.
and my great friend Horner St. Catherine. Horner and I went to school together, and Horner, unfortunately, or as a matter of life, I guess, Horner is managing having cancer, and the way that he's managing it is a total change in lifestyle.
Absolutely.
What he eats, what he takes in. He's always been a fit little so-and-so, right? Because there was always in the football team ahead of me at school, and I hated him for it. So now, without further ado, Horner, I think I'll open up with you. I mean, when people hear that you have cancer, that you're living with cancer, and you've had cancer for how long now?
Knowingly started January last year.
Okay.
I actually understood I had cancer of the lymph node.
And tell us what happened then.
Well, basically, I was on holiday December of the previous year, and I started to develop this growth on my neck. And obviously, I didn't know what it was. And being on holiday in the Caribbean, there wasn't much choice with reference to how I'd actually deal with it. And me, myself, I decided, well, okay, when I get back to England, I'll go and see the doctor, which is a rare thing for me as standard. I'll go and see the doctor and sort of get it sorted out. And I had no idea, obviously, what it was. Sometimes you have a suspicion of things because you know you know that there's a potential. You hear about cancer and all the rest of it. But for me, the place that I come from, I worry about nothing that I don't know about. So it was a case of going to the doctors and getting it seen to. So obviously I went to the doctors, made an appointment. I had to wait 2 weeks, as you do, for an appointment. I went to the doctor and he immediately took a look at me, not much of an examination. And he said, well, I'm going to refer you to the hospital. And it's something that you need to do as quickly as possible. Now, for me, again, there was no issue in terms of my thoughts with reference to it other than I had this condition. So I actually said to the doctor while I was there, well, okay, because it was actually very short appointment. I said to him, well, okay, well, while I'm here, why don't I have my over 50s, over 60s MOT? Because I know that this is something that we as men, black men or men, don't do. And I've had one before, and I thought, well, okay, well, let's go through it. So they do the checks that they do, and I had to go for blood tests for a whole host of things. And that was the end of that visit. So I had the biopsy. I had a number of tests at the hospital with reference to trying to determine what this lump was. And that took a number of weeks of going backwards and forwards to the hospital, visiting various teams at the hospital, first of which was the ear, nose and throat team. And they sort of put a camera down my throat, checked various bits and pieces, and they basically couldn't really understand exactly what it was. Number of weeks went by, and ultimately I received a telephone call from the hospital to say that I needed to come in because they had a better understanding of my situation, and so they needed to sort of see me. I went into the hospital, and they then told me that I had cancer of the left lymph node and cancer of the left tonsil. Now, just part of my story from a personal point of view, immediately after the diagnosis, I went to my daughter's, because my son, he was privy to what was going on with me, but my daughter, I kind of left her out of it until such time as I knew what my position was before I told her, rather than express my suspicions to her and take her through an unnecessary journey.
Yeah.
So I popped up to her place, and I was literally in the process of telling her exactly what my situation was and the fact that I had cancer and I received a telephone call, and I took that call, and it was a second hospital, North Middlesex Hospital, and they had called to tell me that the results of the blood tests and my over 60s MOT had come back positive for prostate cancer. So
They
that
did that over the phone?
they did that over the phone, and that was the first time because I was very liberal with reference to the fact, yes, I'll do an MOT. I didn't expect anything to be wrong, and so that day was a double whammy day.
Can't imagine what that day was like.
But having said that, obviously for other people it would be very difficult. For me, it was okay. What do we do now? This, to a degree, this is how my life has been run in terms of how I am. So it was just a case of, okay, I've got another issue that I have to deal with. So yeah, moving the journey on, I had consultations with two separate teams, one for the neck at Chase Farm and one for the prostate at North Mid. And although they're two separate teams at two separate hospitals, they were supposed to be communicating with each other with reference to my overall well-being. Again, moving the story on, because this, obviously you'll appreciate that there's a lot of toing and throwing with the hospital and various bits and pieces. So the neck team determined that, right, the course of treatment would be chemotherapy, and the chemotherapy would run for 2 weeks. And following the chemotherapy, I would have radiotherapy for 6 weeks, where I would have to go into the hospital every day of the week, 5-day week, every day for 6 weeks and have treatment. What they had told me that was how I would feel and what side effects that I would experience with reference to the radiotherapy. So I went through the chemotherapy, and that was an experience that was truly an experience of my life. In so much as people that know me, I'm fit, I play squash, I'm very proactive in movement. And this experience of the radiotherapy had taken me to a place I'd never been before, physically. Fair enough. Okay, this is where I am now. Then it was a case of, okay, your radiotherapy has been, your chemotherapy has been completed. We are now going to take you through radiotherapy. Literally like next week. And basically my attitude was, well, wait a minute, you've not given me any time to recover from the chemo, and you want to give me radiotherapy. Fine. So this is obviously something for me to consider. At the same time, I received a call from the prostate team that they wanted me to come in to see them to determine what course of treatment I would have for the prostate. Their suggestion, not even suggestion, their suggested form of treatment was that I would have to have hormone therapy followed by radiotherapy. And then they gave me a whole list of side effects of that, which I won't go into now, but they're quite dramatic. So basically, overall, I'm looking at this from an overall point of view of my personal well-being and what's happening with me. And what I could see was there was no care or concern for my personal, individual well-being. It was just about fix him using the methods that we are accustomed to and we understand. And for me, that was an absolute no-no. not going to happen.
So in terms of the conversation, I imagine there were some scare tactics actually employed in there and pushing you towards that decision that this is something that you must do. This is the only course of action that you can follow.
Right. Well, to be fair, with reference to the prostate team, they did not use any form of scare tactics. They just told me, well, this is what we are proposing to do. With reference, but having said that, at that time, I hadn't actually put any opposition to what they were saying. I was just taking in the information. But with regards to the NEC team, that's precisely what they wanted to do,
Wow.
what they tried to do. Because when they initially suggested chemotherapy, I didn't want to do it. I was immediately against it. And I was against it simply because the person that I have not taken anything, even as much as an aspirin for the last 35 years. The only medication that I've ever taken is medication that I've had to take under their advice for one or two conditions I've had in the past. So that was not an option that I wanted to take and a road that I wanted to go down. And so they were saying to me, with reference to the NEC team, well, basically, I am taking my life in my own hands. It's obviously my responsibility, and so on and so on. And basically, the way that they were speaking to me was as if they were setting down the disclaimer that if I go down this road, it is my responsibility and it's not theirs.
They're washing their hands of you.
Absolutely. And I have no problem with that because I was washing my hands of them. So moving forward with it all, I had the prostate team. It was laughable. The prostate team are supposed to be communicating, and as I understand it, had communicated with the NEC team, so they understood my condition. And yet they were insistent on giving me hormone therapy. And the precursor to that was some injection that to prepare me for the hormones that they wanted to give me. And again, I was under pressure because I didn't really know. I knew I did not want to do that or any of their treatment, but I didn't know what or how I would actually manage my own treatment. So they got me into an appointment, and they wanted to inject me that day. And that day, I managed to wriggle out of it. And that's what it is, because obviously they're trying to encourage you and trying to suggest to you that that is the best thing for you to do.
They're putting you on their treadmill, right?
Yeah, they're attempting to.
Standard operating procedure.
But unfortunately, the person that they're dealing with is not really going to take what they have to say and just accept. So the final nail in the coffin for me was that not only did they want to give me hormone therapy, but it was a suggestion that I would be on a program with them for the next 5 years. That was never going to happen. I'm not going to be on anybody's program for any period of time. So I literally went home. This was a Friday, and I was in a position where I needed to focus on myself to determine exactly what it is I was going to do and how I was going to do it. And over that weekend, I did a lot of thinking. And then come the Sunday morning, it was absolutely decided that that was the end of the NHS for me in terms of treatment. I formulated a letter, which I was going to send out to them. But when I'd finished the letter, I decided that no, they need to know this as soon as possible. So I actually read, for want of a better term, the letter to both teams' answer machine with reference to their admin to tell them that basically it's over. I no longer are going to take treatment, and I'm going to deal with my situation myself. And that was, for me, the initial ending of the NHS, until such time as then, a few weeks later, I decided, well, okay, fine. I've decided that I'm going to go down the road of make food thy medicine. This was my choice. But having said that, I still needed to know or have some kind of way of monitoring my progress over time. And so it was a case of me approaching the hospital to ask if I could have some kind of monitoring care in terms of scans to determine over periods of time what my progress was. So yeah, it took a little time for me to get them to agree because they didn't want to do that. The fact that I decided not to have the treatment, it seemed like, well, you're not having our treatment, well, you're not also having our monitoring. And so again, I had to think about how I was going to navigate that situation. And it came to me through a little bit of understanding of how the NHS works, that if I approach my GP could then navigate me through the system to be able to get the scans that I needed. So I managed to set that up. And so at the moment, I'm under this situation where every 3 months, 4 months, I'll go in, have a scan, and that allows me to sort of measure my progress or otherwise through this.
And how is your progress?
In terms, obviously, I'm dealing with 2 cancers, which are completely separate. With reference to the neck, I'm in remission. With reference to the neck, the cancer in the tonsil has gone.
Wow.
The cancer in the lymph node is greatly reduced, but according to them, it's still there. And even that, I have to say, I question that. In terms of the prostate, in terms of its condition, is stable. But again, I would also even question what these people are telling me, to be honest. But because I'm not a clinician, I'm not a medical person, to a degree you need to take, in terms of information, you need to take that on board as well as your own thoughts and ideas.
So let me just clarify. When they say the prostate is stable, what that means is the condition's not worsening.
Right, it's not worsening. What I had, literally 2 weeks ago, I had my last appointment with them. And basically what they've said to me is that it's not worsened. And to be quite honest, and I was actually a little bit taken aback by that admission or information. But what the consultant felt was, considering that I had not had their treatment, she truly expected the cancer to be far worse than it is now. So for her, it was a case of, well, whatever you're doing, you can continue to do. But from our point of view, we still want to give you the treatment.
Now, what were you doing? What was your secret? Talk to me about your regime.
Right. Okay. It is one of, first of all, taking responsibility for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And by that, it really does mean looking at your very existence and determining what it is that you need to do to improve your condition, for want of a better term. And so for that, for me, I look at it from a health exercise point of view, extremely important. And for me, that box had always been ticked all my life. And healthy eating regime. And again, that box has been ticked from a gradual point of view. Obviously, when we were young, yes, Burger King, Kentucky, and all of these things, yeah. But as you progress through life, I found that for me, it was a case of, no, I shouldn't be eating this, and no, I shouldn't be eating that. And as you go through the journey, I've improved my eating habit. There is, for me, a spiritual aspect to this, and this is where truly you stop. You need to start to understand who you are, why you are, what you're doing. There are so many questions that you need to be asking yourself internally. And that's an ongoing process through life, but it actually supports the eating, the exercise. Again, with reference to my regime, I introduced myself to regular fasting, intermittent fasting. Extremely important. It's part of the cornerstone of life, as far as I'm concerned. So we have exercise, we have eating, we have fasting. For me, also good sleep, very important. So I'm, for want of a better term, blessed with the ability to sleep well. So so I don't have any problems there. So basically these cornerstone what's the word I'm looking for?
Principles.
Sorry? Principles are important. No one stands alone. So it's not a case of you can go out and you can exercise till the cows come home and then just do whatever it is you want to do with everything to eat, sleep, and the rest of it. You need to look at everything holistically.
Yeah, that's a word, is the holistic lifestyle.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And how long, right? So this started in January last year?
This started in January last year, and so yes, it's a year and a half now. Yeah.
Give thanks, and long may it last.
Yeah.
Long may it last.
Congratulations.
Keep on doing what you're doing. And for me, when you talk about the holistic lifestyle, prevention is even better than cure, right?
Well, the holistic lifestyle is prevention.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So prevention is better than cure. I'm really trying to find a segue just to bring in Asha. We'll be back to you. And again, I think it'd be great if the two of you can share some conversations about how it is that holistic lifestyle can be medicinal to the body, mind, and soul.
Yes. For real, my brother, I'm really happy to sit here and hear you sort of give your testimony about, you know, what you've been through and where you are at the moment and how you do it. And it is important for, you know, man in general, but as we're talking about Black health, then we're speaking about Black man taking responsibility for their health and to recognize and accept when things are going wrong. Because sometimes we can feel it, we know it, but because of the no one want to feel vulnerable, because that's one thing that illness make you feel vulnerable. And even accepting it sometimes can make you feel more vulnerable. You know, and before I go into any conversation with my brother here, I just want to sort of give a positive about the NHS, because we don't want to bash the NHS too much. For bashing the NHS also will be a negative impact on the community, because if we bash it, then people further not going to want to go in to get themselves checked. You know, I myself was diagnosed, I know, I've been an italist since 1991. I've never been to the doctor for anything, and I was working in the council, you know, in garden landscape, and went to Jamaica. I was in Jamaica for 4 months, was all right, came back. And I'm saying this to lead up to, you know, just a positive about the NHS. Came back, when I came back, I was operating quite a lot of heavy-duty machinery. Sometimes operating machinery can give you a thing they call vibration white finger. Too much vibration can mess with your nerves and mess with a lot of, you know, your nerve ending, and you feel different things. So I start to have a blurriness in my eyes. Feel like, you know, when you're old people say you have coal in your eye then. But I keep on washing with a lot of different solutions and it's not going. And at the same time, Will.i.am was in the UK working with Specsavers. You know, sort of, you know, encouraging people to go and get their eye tests. And I went home one day and there was a voucher through the door. There was a voucher from Specsaver through the door. And I've picked it up. And Monday morning, my wife said to me that, you know, I think that, you know, you've been trying everything to wash your eyes and it's not going. Let's go Specsavers. And when I go Specsavers, you know, this man, the person who done the eye test was a trainee. She took me and do my test and everything and put me back in the reception to sit there. And then one of the senior person come out and said, how was your test and did you feel satisfied? And even before I answered him, he said, you know, let's go and retake it. And when I go and retake it, he said, can you look to the right and tell me what you see? Can you look to the left and tell me what you see? And then I realized I was blind in my eyes.
Oh.
And I asked him, how can that be? But when he done that, I could see a look in his face. He looked quite alarmed. And he said, you know what, I'm telling you now, I'm going to send a email straight to your GP. Don't go to your GP, go straight to Moorfield Hospital. Went to Moorfield Hospital all day, do all the check. Moorfield sent me to a private ophthalmologist, do all the check. Then they say, you know, at the end of it, they said, I'm going to send you straight. I'm not going to let you go back to Mayday. I'm going to send you straight to Moorfield at St. George's. When they done all their tests, they test me for MS, everything, because these people now is baffled why I'm blind in the eyes and nothing, all of the equipment is not showing them the reason why I'm blind in my eyes. And at the end of the day, a neurosurgeon came to me and said, I'm going to ask you to do an MRI scan. Can you come in early in the morning and do that? Yeah, and we went in and do it. And 10 days later, I was at work and I get a call to say, you got a brain tumor, man. Yeah. So my brain tumor was big as a goose egg. And it was sitting between my eye, nose, and throat. You know, put everything forward. So within 6 weeks, was organized. Lovely team at St. George's. Lady Dr. Sarah Little, she was going away on her summer holiday and she canceled it and said, you know, she was the throat specialist. She said, yeah. And they put her through and I tell you, I get one of the loveliest team. You know, if it wasn't for the NHS, I'm saying this to, you know, give a positive. I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the NHS, because there is no way if I was living in Jamaica or any part of the world that I would be able to afford and I would get the service and I would get the care that they gave me. This lady of Chancellor Holiday, the surgeon.
There you go. So that's beautiful, because you mentioned that if you were in Africa or if you were in the Caribbean, we wouldn't be getting access to free healthcare in the same way that we get it here. And some of us, we get it here and we don't take it. And that's the key, right? Wanty, tiro get it, no want. So here we are and we do get it. The access is there. And what we're trying to tell people, reasons why we should take up access, just like you.
Yeah.
So you had the operation. Obviously, it's successful.
Yeah.
And since then, you're using.
So I grew up in Jamaica. That my grandma was a herbalist. My mom was a herbalist, and that was passed down to me. You know, and as a Rastafarian, that is one of the pillar and cornerstone of the culture, that you be your own doctor, because we don't trust Babylon really, you know. So therefore, you know, that is diet and medicine in Rastafari culture is the cornerstone, you know, giving part from the dreadlocks and everything, but the medicine and you taking control of your food is the medicine, your food, the herbal medicine, everything is the health and nutrition. So hence why I build up that, you know, particular, I would say, life live experience. So I might not be able to put this on paper and show you a certificate of that, but my life live experience, I've gone through, I have delivered my own children, do all of that. So I know that herbal medicine and all what we call in alternative medicine and diet is very important. That was one of the things that my surgeon also said to me. That he said to me that I'm not a nutritionist, but I can tell you, given the size of your tumor, if it wasn't for your diet, it would have spread through your brain and wouldn't be able to do anything to it.
So that's the power of
of good diet. So, you know.
I mean, we know that Russ Nimway should have been with us today. We couldn't get him on Zoom from Blue Mountain, where he's a farmer planting and growing organic foods. But on hearing what Horner was saying, is there anything that you can suggest to him? Any foods or herbs? Because we know that you're Bushman's Innovation.
Yeah. So that's what I do. I'm a herbalist. I would have said that's the business part of it. But yeah, if I would advise you on for diet, I would say soursop is nature's chemotherapy. Yeah. There is no other thing that as powerful as soursop. So I would suggest, like, you know, if you, anytime you can, you know, get one, pluck the seeds out.
And that's the getting of one is the thing, because I'm actually familiar with that.
Yeah.
But actually getting that, every time I've tried, you can get it as a tea, but you can't actually get the thing itself.
Ridley Road Mark there, Brixton Mark.
You make Brixton Mark,
okay.
you buy a hook by yourself a soursop.
Is that what you're suggesting? The actual just going straight to the soursop? You can't have like an extract.
No.
It's got to be the real deal.
The soursop leaves, all of the soursop plants have been proven. So the Mayans, the Aztecs, people in the Amazon been using this. People from, you know, been using this for centuries and centuries. People in Polynesia, all, you know.
Apparently, soursop has the same or similar compounds to what is found in what they're using chemo for.
Yeah.
Wow. And we know that forever they've been using plant extracts to create their medicines. But yes, soursop is legendary.
But one of the things I would actually suggest, not necessarily before we go to soursop, but what we do actually need to do is to eradicate the rubbish that we're actually eating.
Okay.
Because otherwise what you do is you go to the soursop with the mind that, oh, this thing is going to cure me or heal me or what have you, but then you'll still go and eat the rubbish so you're actually defeating the object of what you're trying to do.
So that's what I was getting to, you know, to say that, you know, me mentioning soursop, it have to be principles and discipline is the order, and consistency. That's it. You know, it's not something. So to get your body in an alkaline state is very important. The pH level, even the water that you drink, have to be above certain pH level. You know, some people say 8.7. You know, pure, and you have good, really good spring water. You're talking about seeded grape. You're talking about papaya. You're talking about, you know, rocket salad. You're talking about red onions. Those are the food that is rich in, you know, because we as human beings, our body is made up from minerals. You know, so the sun is electric, the earth is magnetic, and we are the conductor, so we are electromagnetic beings, so we have to feed on a lot of electric food. Hence why I mentioned soursop.
Yeah.
Electrolytes. Huh?
But yeah, and you know, a lot of jelly water, coconut water, those are electric food. You're talking about papaya, those are electric food. Chocha, those are electric food.
Cucumber.
You know, cucumber, but I'm not talking those one that, you know, they sell in the supermarket with a bit of plastic look like a condom on it. That's not the one I'm talking. You know, I'm talking proper round Jamaican or, you know, Ugandan. You're talking about ginger. Those are, you know, cayenne pepper, Scotch bonnet pepper. Those are the food that we have to eat. And even, that's what I was mentioned to the virgin was here. Culture, ethnicity, geographical location, all of those are very important as a people and how you eat. So if you're a person from an Asian background, eating probably a lot of jollof rice or a lot of fufu might gonna get you ill. And if you is from an African background and eating a lot of curry and a lot of Irish potatoes, sorry the word Irish, you know, a lot of potato, you know, that might get you ill. That is gonna, hence why when we go to the doctor now, the doctor can say, if you come from an Afro-Caribbean background, you are prone to have diabetes. The reason why they tell you that is because of our diet. They know that our diet is highly filled with starch. So when, you know, I'm not saying don't eat Irish potato, even though I will say that I don't eat potato, even though I will say that, but it's also within moderation, in the regularity, the portion size, how much you eat, when you eat. Just like our brother was saying here, you know, fasting is very important for that help to repair the cells in your body, that help the cells to give time. So it's not like you're not going to get sick. But what herbs and food do is build the immune system, which is the defense mechanism in your body that is pre-encoded to tell it that, you know, now I'm going to get ill. No, you need to be on the front line. So even when you get ill, the body can repair much easier and can heal itself much easier because that is built in.
You mentioned before that you were blind in one eye. Has the italist in you kind of like repaired yourself to a point where you can actually see out of your eye now? I mean,
No.
how does that actually work?
No, I've completely lost that because they have cut through that.
I see.
They have cut through that. So I'm blind in the left eye. I lost all ability to smell anything whatsoever.
Is that because of the tumor?
Yeah, the tumor was sitting on the optic nerve, and it's just like if you got a garden hose and it's kinked for so long, no matter what you do, that kink won't come out. Yes, my eyes have gotten much better in certain aspect. At first, there was a little bit of light come out of it.
Right.
And then now that light is completely gone. But what happened, this eye is composite. And then you just have to learn to train. You have to train yourself. Resilient is the thing. And also how you think. You can be defeated or be a defeatist to your own self. So, so when we mention holistic, it's not only, it's everything. Absolutely. It's everything. It's the way how you think, the way how you view things, the way how you make things affect you. You know, for instance, my brother here said when he heard about his condition, he didn't crumble at the same time. It's the same time. It's the same thing when they told me that, you know, I have a brain tumor. I didn't know if it was cancerous or anything, but I told myself from that I heard about that, you know, I'm not going anywhere. You know, so this is not gonna get me.
Is that part of the philosophy? You mentioned earlier that you're an italist. Is the italist philosophy around the mind and the body? Is that how it works?
It's a holistic. Everything has to be holistic. So it's how you think, is how you allow things to affect you. You know, is your diet, is even people who you're being around. You know, is the environment. All of those is very important because the body, you know, is a whole. You know, everything that your body was built in with that. You know, there is nothing outside of you that is not already was pre-encoded. You know, it's all there. It's all there. But, you know, diet is very important. I'm not going to not, you know, say, you know, don't do that. But for me personally, I can give a testimony that diet is very, very important. Okay. You know, very, very much important. And hence why my brother here could tell you all of what he said to you. And I think he have put, based upon all of what he just discussed, he have put his body in a state that he can respond, he can help to repair itself and respond to whatever.
Yeah, well, really, in support of what you've said with reference to the things you should do and you should eat, I think it's also as important to consider what you shouldn't. Yeah. And certainly in the West, we are consumers and we are there to consume whatever it is that's put before us. And we truly accept and understand that surely the government wouldn't allow anything to be sold or for us to have access to that's not good for us. That couldn't be further from the truth. So it is down to us to understand and look at what's going on, look at what's available, educate ourselves as to what is good and what is not good. And you don't have to work too hard to do that. So for me, in my experience, and this has come over time, I do not eat any processed foods whatsoever, as much as I can. Yeah, but this has come through time. When we were younger, we know nothing. We accept whatever there is on the shelves in the shops, and surely if it's in the shops, it's maybe not necessarily great for us, but it certainly can't harm us. But again, nothing can be further from the truth. When I go to a supermarket, I have to say 95% of that building has got nothing to do with me in terms of what I buy and what I consume. So you go and you pick your little bits and pieces, and maybe it's we in this society are victims of the system, because there was, back in the day, prior to supermarkets, there used to be a fishmongers, there used to be a vegetable store, there used to be a butcher's, and you can go and select the individual bits that you require. Now you can go to one place that has everything, including a whole load of stuff that's absolutely not good for you. So basically, I do not consume now anything that's prepackaged as much as I can. So it's 99% of it. Virtually nothing that's tinned. My food has to be, the food that I consume needs to look, when I actually obtain it, in its original form. So I don't even want my fruit peeled by anybody and washed by anybody and then prepackaged by some machine. Let me get the apple, the orange, and let me peel it myself. Let me put it in a solution that eradicates the pesticides and so on and so on. And so for me, everything that now goes into my mouth and into my body, I have chosen and made a proactive decision with reference to that thing. So in essence, you are starting to breathe and understand what you are doing. You're giving consideration. I'm, as you know, Stafford, like, we're born in the UK. We lived in the UK all our lives. We are Western people, yeah, for that part. So I can't say that I'm at one with the Caribbean or I'm at one with Africa in the way that these things work. I know how the system here works. And over time, I have learned to understand that the system is not there for me. And so I need to take control and understand what is going on and make choices that's suitable for me. Yeah. So from a food consumption point of view, and in essence, if I was to expand a little further, it's not just what we take through our mouths, but it's what we actually look at, what we take in terms of information through our eyes. It's what we take in terms of information through our ears. All of these things we need to take control of and say no to the rubbish that's out there, because there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of visual rubbish. And it's all of these things support your own personal well-being and your own personal development. But it is about each and every single one of us taking responsibility.
Yeah, I would definitely, would definitely agree with everything that you said. It's important. Energies, frequencies, and vibration, those are real.
Yeah.
Those are definitely real. We can't underestimate those. And I think even within our community, I think soon as we start to speak about, food, a lot of people get an edge. Because we know food brought us together in our Caribbean or in African culture. As soon as they come through the door, there is food to welcome you. That's what help you keep comfortable and everything like that. We was brought up to say that, the bigger bit of yam you eat, or the bigger bit of dumpling, or a pot of rice and the rice and peas and that make you stronger. And we have known that now. The truth have been corrected that it's not how it go. It's not the quantity, it's the quality of the food that you eat. And even you can train your body. For instance, I woke up all morning, I have one pear and few barrow banana. So them small banana that I ate, those are the banana that make every other banana. So those are the mother of all bananas. This little tiny one they call a barrow or a blago banana.
And where are they from?
You get them in. You can go. The best place I would say.
No,
to
in
go.
terms of where do they come from? Where
They come from. You can get them Jamaica, Uganda, places like that. Dominican Republic, all about in the Caribbean. They grow. Growing up in Jamaica, people never used to eat those bananas because those bananas were seen as poor people bananas. Okay. But now, if you go on the high street to buy a kilo of it, you're talking about like 15, 16 pounds of it. Okay. For it, because you have been through. So everything now is sort of, there is a shift in diet, and young people now is privy to more information, and they are taking it much, much more serious. Even, for instance, veganism have been pushed now. It's not as healthy. Or vegan food is it's really heavily processed. And even when they mention, now they change it from vegetarian, when we know that when you said vegetarian, the word itself suggests what it is. But if someone said to me, get me some vegetarian food, I wouldn't expect that it's going to have egg or cheese in it because, a chicken is not a veggie, So now they change that now because of capitalism, to say it's vegan, then they change vegan to plant-based. And no one is examining what they base the plant with. All of that have to be understood now. To take care of your health. So not, a lot of people can say, oh, we are vegan, we this, we that. But vegan food does not necessarily mean it's healthy.
Okay. But natural food. We want to stay positive, we want to end positive, wrap up positive, right? Natural food, natural living. Natural livity is how we call that, right? So the 4 trinities that you said, there was exercise, food, fasting, and resting. Healthy eating is a critical substance, a critical theme, a critical element. And if we do the healthy eating in before we know that we're ill, they will help us to ensure that our immune systems are willing and able to resist the worst of any ailments and conditions.
Prevention is better than cure.
All man, and probably also female, is born with a prostate gland. It's just a gland within the body. The only time it becomes dangerous or become a problem is when it's enlarged. So it's very important for us, I would say, all our brothers in our community, take responsibility for your health. Go and get yourself checked, know your status, and then from there, you can know how to treat yourself.
But in terms of prevention is better than cure, what herb would you suggest people drink or take on a regular basis to prevent prostatitis and prostate cancer?
Guinea hen weed are really powerful herbs that have proven to keep that dormant, prevent it from and get enlarged. Soursop leaf, soursop bark, soursop oil, soursop fruit. So if you get yourself a soursop, pluck all the seed up, put that in your smoothie maker, have a cup of that right through the day. Within months. I know people who were diagnosed with prostate cancer, and they said that, stage 4, there's nothing else we can do for you. And they heard about the soursop and use it, and these people are walking around now healthy.
You heard it here from Russ Asha, our in-house naturalist. Right?
Yeah, tremendous.
But get tested.
Get tested. I mean, we can't say no more, but get tested. What you do after getting tested is down to you. You can then form, like Horner, you can make
your own
decisions based on
an informed choice
and based on information. All right. To the viewers, thank you for listening. Peace out.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you for being here.
Take a step, go get checked. Want the best for you, no less. Stubborn head, make sense. NHS before it goes left. Me and my unks had a dialogue of equals. We're tired of all our people dying before they seem to. Silence don't make you peaceful. So many open wounds, don't even know how we'll heal all. But this is food for thought of a meal. It might be a free course. You know the usual 9 nights and funerals, high and by at the graveside like time is recuperable. Ignore the treatable symptoms, these will cause a domino effect. You won't make it home to the loody board. Take a step, go get checked. Want the best for you, no less.
Stop it, make it make sense. NHS before it goes left.
Any information provided on our podcast series is for educational purposes only and does not substitute for professional medical advice. We advise listeners to consult a medical professional or healthcare provider if they seek medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. We value different opinions and experiences in our program, and any information shared by our guests should be seen as their personal opinion. We have guests who are medical practitioners, but we do not have a medical doctor on our production team. We've added extra information from reputable sources on our website if you want to inform yourself further. We strongly advocate for everyone taking responsibility to inform ourselves about our health. We cannot be liable for risk or issues associated with using information discussed during this program.